We are bringing the heat today, guys. This is one of the most limited releases of 2025, celebrating the 40-year anniversary of the brand, a legend reborn. We are going to be talking about the Jordan 1 85 Bred. Very quickly, if this is your first time on the channel, make sure you are subscribed to the channel because I'm dropping content every single week, and also give me a follow on Instagram. I'm dropping daily content on there and it's the best place to keep up with me. So these will be releasing on February the 14th in the US for a retail price of $250, but surprisingly the retail price in Europe is only 200 euros, and considering that right now euros and the USD are pretty much the same, I really don't remember the last time or if I've ever seen this where a Jordan 1 is selling for a lot cheaper in Europe than in the US. What's the deal with that? I mean, I don't know. I'm not complaining, but I did manage to get these a week early because there was an in-store release for these here in Berlin at Soulbox, and it's been a really long time since I've lined up for a pair of shoes. Now, the rumor said that there were only going to be 10,000 pairs of these releasing worldwide, making this one of the most limited Jordan releases we've gotten in a long time. And in the US, only 23 retailers are supposedly getting this shoe, and I don't know how many retailers in Europe are getting these, but this is just my feeling. I don't think that 10,000 number is correct. I actually think there's a lot more pairs than they're supposedly saying. You can just see by how far the prices have fallen on StockX in the last week, dropping nearly 50% in price. And just have a look at the amount of sales. For an ultra limited shoe that hasn't even released yet, those are a lot of sales. My feeling is that there are a lot more pairs available, which I think is good news because a lot of people, myself included, were complaining about how limited these were going to be. I had no interest in paying high resale for these, and as of right now, me making this video, they still aren't even loaded yet on Sneakers US, even though they have been loaded already on Sneakers Europe. So that tells me expect to see a quote-unquote shock drop for these at some point later this week, also on Sneakers US. But let's get into the shoe now. Starting off with the box. So while it does look like every other Jordan box, it doesn't feel as smooth as some of the newer boxes. Like, it kind of feels a bit raw, and also it's actually bigger than a regular Jordan 1 box. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole history about this colorway because let's face it, you guys have already heard that story 100 times by now. These were banned by the NBA, except these weren't actually the ones that were banned. The real shoes that were banned were the Nike Air Ships, but Nike turned that whole fiasco into a marketing opportunity, and the rest is history. This is one of the most beloved colorways of the Jordan 1 High by sneakerheads. In fact, me personally, I actually like this colorway even more than the Chicago's up there. We have seen this pair retro a few times, the most recently in 2016. And while I don't own a 2016 pair myself, I have seen a few people online point out that this version right here is a lot more brighter than that 2016 pair. The shoes also come with this little booklet here, which gives you some details about the Jordan 1 and the different technology it contains. And we do know that with this particular release, they tried to get this shoe as close to as one for one compared to the original 1985 pair. The design team said that there were no notes or recipe book that was left by that original team that made the shoe, so they had to pretty much reverse engineer this shoe. They used high resolution scans to get the exact measurements and proportions. Like, for example, the length of this mudguard is pretty much identical to the originals, and most notably, just look at how straight it is. Most Jordan 1s, like, have a look at the Chicago pair, you can kind of see how it slants upwards like that, like it almost curves in. But no, not this 85 version. They got that super straight. They also completely retooled the midsole. You can just notice all of the different curves on there, especially on the midfoot region. And also what's pretty unique is how this midsole just kind of slants inwards. Like, that's just not something you see at all on Jordan 1, so that is very much unique to this shoe. The swoosh on this pair is way bigger than regular Jordan 1s, which is a detail that I love. I wish they never changed that on Jordan 1s. The thicker swoosh just looks so much nicer. Two sets of laces come with this pair, a black pair and also a red one. For me, the black is definitely the way to go. I don't see myself ever switching to the red, but that's not a bad look either. Also very happy that they actually gave us a real white midsole here. Don't you think that sale or aged midsole trend was just getting a bit played out. Let's just rock these and let them age the natural way, am I right? Now, quality. The leather doesn't feel like amazing leather. Maybe that's on purpose. Maybe this was what the original leather was like. But honestly, it feels very standard. If anything, this leather looks and feels a bit thicker than regular Jordan 1s, but not as thick as some previous Jordan 1 85s. Like I remember the neutral grays. That shoe had the thickest cut of leather I've ever felt on a Jordan 1, and to this day, it's still the most excruciatingly painful pair of ones that I've worn. Very unforgiving leather. Thankfully, these aren't like that at all. If you want to know a bit more about this Jordan 1 85 leather, you can check out that video by Rose Anvil where he broke it down, and he was very critical in that video of the shoe, pretty much saying that the leather on these 85 pairs is much more similar to an Air Force 1, so it's not very premium at all. As far as the fit goes, well, I have to say I'm extremely pleased with how these shoes feel on feet. Like this feels like an already broken in Jordan 1, which I love, and I wasn't expecting that, especially in this 85 version. The fit and the sizing for me, so I got this in my true size, and it fits so good, I have to say right out the box, at least based on recent memory. This is one of the best fitting Jordan 1s that I felt. And I know I might be sounding like I'm overhyping this shoe a bit when I say this, but for some reason it feels a bit more comfortable on feet than I've felt with any of the recent Jordan 1s that I've picked up in maybe the last couple of years. Like, did they put a different insole in here or something? I don't know, but this is a surprisingly very comfortable pair of 1s. Don't they just look great on feet? Like, this is such a classic shoe, and honestly in this shape I think it looks great. Question for you guys, do you see the Jordan 1 making a bit of a comeback this year? And I'm not talking about resale prices here, I'm talking about whether we'll start seeing people wearing them a lot more, kind of like we saw in 2020 and 2021 when everyone wanted a pair of 1s. That was all I saw whenever I went outside. However, nowadays I feel like it'll be at least a couple of weeks before I see a pair of 1s outside, at least here in Berlin. I actually do predict that the 1s are gonna make a bit of a comeback this year. I mean, why not? Now, is this shoe worth the price? I think that resale prices are definitely gonna drop for this shoe going into release date. And if these prices drop to around, let's say 300, then yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable for these. But of course, that is up to you to decide. I think it's an absolute icon of a shoe. It looks great on feet. You'll be wearing these a lot. Do let me know in the comments, what do you guys think about the Jordan 1 85 Bred? Will you be going for these? Will you be paying resale for these? Let me know in the comments. Do not forget to follow me on Instagram, and also if you're someone who prefers listening to sneaker content, then make sure you check out my podcast as well, available on all streaming platforms. You can find the link in the description. Thank you so much for stopping by and supporting my content. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.